What is going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm YouTubes, wherever you guys are joining. Today, we appreciate you chiming in here and joining on this Tuesday afternoon. There we are. Hello, everyone.
There.
We got Jon Impemba with me on this show today. What's up, man?
Doing pretty good. Got a little NBA in-season tournament action day number 2 here today. Coming off of an exciting day 1. We had a pretty good football day yesterday, all things considered there as well. So excited to talk some Tuesday betting slate with you, man.
Yeah, we're going to cover a little bit of everything today. No football today, but we got basketball from me and you. I'll be giving out some college basketball. You have the NBA in-season tournament best bets that you're going to give out to everyone here. And then we'll touch on some hockey, some NHL picks from our producer, Adam Bernard, to wrap up today's show. And if you have any of your own bets, props, picks, predictions for anything we're talking about for tonight's games or for anything this week, really, that you want to touch on, throw them in the chat here as you're watching on YouTube to get involved and see where everyone else is and see if they're agreeing or disagreeing with us on some of these games, or if we don't even touch on a game or a player, definitely throw it in here in the chat. Let's talk some NBA in season because we had the tournament start up with the quarterfinals yesterday. Last night we had the Pacers beating the Celtics, your Celtics, John, and then the Pelicans beating the Kings to move on to the semis. You can see here, the semis. So tonight they're the last 2 quarterfinals, and then semis are on Thursday, and then the championship game is on Saturday. So this is all going to be wrapped up by the weekend here. Any thoughts from last night's games before we touch on, tonight and moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, the Pelicans have just kind of owned the Kings now at this point. They beat them in back-to-back games, a couple weeks back there, and then they again went ahead and beat them again last night on a night where Zion didn't even really play all that well. Sabonis had a really good game for Sacramento. Malik Monk had a good game for Sacramento, but Pelicans are now fully healthy. Got Trey Murphy back. He's out there knocking shots down. Herb Jones is a menace, and it's hard to beat just that depth when those role players are coming through like that. Ingram, McCollum, and Zion are good enough alone to beat you, and you have to then deal with their 4, 5, and 6 as well doing damage. The Pelicans are a deep team. That team can stay healthy. You definitely should be paying attention to them out in the West. When it comes to the East, I mean, the Pacers were necessarily the higher seed, the favorite in that game being home. I don't really know where the Celtics are falling off lately. Kristaps Porzingis obviously not being there, I think, again, sort of exposes some of the troubles that we've seen out of the Celtics the last few years, and that's the reliability of scoring when Brown and Tatum, aren't there to score the basketball. Now, both of those guys scored 30 points last night, and they lost. Because Derek White had an okay shooting night. Drew Holiday, okay shooting night. Sam Hauser hit 5 threes, but Al Horford gave you nothing. You didn't really get much from Peyton Pritchard. You're relying on those 20-plus points to come from Kristaps Porzingis there, the rebounding, the defensive presence in the paint. Him not being there certainly, again, kind of puts that team back to where they've been the last few years, it seems like, for me. Tyrese Halliburton getting his first career triple-double yesterday, which is kind of surprising. I don't think many people would have expected it to take this long for him to get his first career triple-double, but it came last night. Buddy Hield was knocking down a bunch of shots for them. Ben Mathurin had a good game. The Pacers just got the better of the Celtics there. If that goes 7 and there's a healthy Porzingis, I don't think it goes that way, but the health of Porzingis is the biggest question mark coming into the year for the Celtics here. Can they keep him healthy for a full season? Already the determination has been they can't. Hopefully he'll come back sooner rather than later. And then when it really matters, come playoff time, he'll be there. Otherwise, Luke Cornett as your backup 5 is not going to get it done in the playoffs against, the Sixers or the Bucks or something like that. So they need a healthy Porzingis so Horford can fill in as that backup 5 and kind of reset the rotation there for Boston.
Yeah, and you mentioned, the Boston has its sights set on an NBA full season championship. Right. They're not too worried about this in season, whereas the Pacers would probably love to win this in season tournament to take a step forward for that young core moving forward, whether it's this year or beyond. So
I think there was a tweet that went out. They have the most active players on 2-way deals or something like that. So basically, all
Wow.
those guys on their two-way contracts are going to get a huge payday. It's $500K a player if they win the in-season tournament. So that's more than the money they're making now on their two-ways. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember when we first talked about this, in the off season and when the NBA season started, and I kind of had my eye on to see all right, which teams are gonna really care a lot more and go all out, whereas the Celtics obviously going to be a little bit more careful with Porzingis and obviously, I mean, Tatum was still playing well last night, but
yeah, double by halftime for Tatum.
Yeah, but late in the game, it's like, all right, the Pacers are really ramped it up. So they'll play the winner of tonight's Bucks-Knicks game for the semifinals on Thursday. And then the other side, the Pelicans are playing the winner of Lakers-Suns. Looking at BetMGM, by the way, right now, if you're looking to take some futures on any of these teams still alive, Pelicans are co-betting favorites with the Bucks to win the in-season tournament at plus 275. The Pacers are at plus 500. I mean, obviously, do you think the Pelicans are live to win this? They'll play the winner of Lakers Suns, and then we'll see who they face from the East in the championship if they get that far. But co-betting favorites right now, I think, is saying something.
Yeah, I think they, like I said, I think they definitely are now that they have a guy like Trey Murphy back, and we've seen Dyson Daniels and Jordan Hawkins filled in more than enough when Murphy and McCollum were out of the lineup. So. Najee Marshall even coming off the bench and playing some minutes last night. He looked pretty good in his seventh man role here. So, that team is very deep, very sneaky. It's all about the health. They can keep McCollum healthy. They keep Ingram healthy. They can somehow keep Zion healthy throughout the year. I mean, that team has some serious push. Murphy is one of the more underrated six-man, I think, in the league. Just his ability to score, right immediately on display these last two games since coming back from that injury. So, I like the Pelicans a lot. And honestly, I think that they probably would be the team I would bet on because I like the Knicks tonight. So I don't even know if the Bucks are going to win this game. They'd be there as a betting favorite. So if you want to just jump into that, you get the Knicks are getting 5 in this one. And if you wanted to do a money line bet on them as well, it's plus 170. But I'm looking at how poor defensively Milwaukee has been this year and that the Knicks tend to play kind of a slower, more defensive game. Where, if they kind of make them play at their pace and they kind of put them into that, the way they tend to play defense. And now you look at the way Milwaukee has played defense this year, especially against opposing guards, really, really struggled. I mean, Jalen Brunson had a 45 actual point game against them already on the year. I do think this game is going to be a little bit surprising. It wouldn't shock me if the Knicks pulled this one out. I would definitely take the Knicks plus the 5. But I have confidence in them winning this game outright as well here tonight. So I do like the Knicks with plus the 5 points, but I wouldn't mind sprinkling some on the money line there.
Okay. And then in the in-season tournament odds right now, the Knicks have the longest odds to win it all. Obviously, to get past the Bucks here and then the Pelicans to even get to the championship, but plus 1,000 on BetMGM if you want to take a chance on them, because that'll definitely shorten if they win tonight, obviously.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I know you have some props you want to throw out for these games, but you're saying you like the Knicks side of things if you want to take a side or a money line for that one. What about the Lakers-Suns matchup? Lakers are small favorites, right, in that one?
The Lakers are currently 1.5 point home favorites there. Devin Booker being back certainly changes a lot for that Suns team. Just his ability to score. I think that with him healthy, Durant obviously playing the way he is playing, just sort of the depth on that team as well, I think is a little bit interesting here. It's all about the top end talent. And the Suns have done actually a really good job at limiting some of the production of opposing centers this year. And we'll talk about some of my prop bets momentarily, but if for whatever reason Anthony Davis doesn't have a top end day here, against the Suns, then I wonder, what exactly we're going to see for them, offensively here tonight. The most recent meeting against Phoenix, he only scored 18 points in that game. If he only gives you 18 tonight, I worry that the Lakers aren't going to have enough scoring in this game to beat Booker, who's coming off of 30 plus, and Durant, that can give you 30 plus here. If Eric Gordon ends up being ruled in tonight, he's played really well in that starting lineup, adding as the third scoring threat for them. So, I think it's pretty good to be an even money game on this one, and that's basically what we're looking at. If you go Suns, it's plus 102, Lakers are minus 122. I don't have a strong lean, but I do think if you made me take a pick, I would go with the Suns in this one as well.
Okay. I feel like I'm looking at the odds to win it all here again, and Lakers are at plus 450. They're the third best odds behind the Bucks and Pelicans. So they are, right now the favorites to come out of the West there in the championship. I wouldn't put it past LeBron just to try to turn it up a notch, to try to put another feather in his cap on his resume, like winning the first ever in-season tournament in his possibly one of his last seasons here. So that is kind of like the underlying vibes side of it.
And he's been talking. I mean, obviously he's the kind of the spokesman of the league, sort of like initially whenever he's kind of questioning what is this in-season tournament, he was the one that was talking up. He's like, no, like this is a great thing. The Lakers have obviously won both games against the Suns this year, so I mean they have that going for them here as well. But some of those games obviously missing key pieces on the Phoenix side. Yeah. So, but you're right. I mean, what's another thing in LeBron's legacy if he goes in and wins the first in-season tournament, and wants to go to Las Vegas? That was what everybody's been talking about on the Celtics after they lost. They were like, man, we really want to just go to Las Vegas. They wanted to go party. Jaylen Brown's like, I guess we'll have to settle for Encore Casino, which is the casino that's outside of Boston. So
I think you can still go to Vegas. They won't be playing, but
right,
exactly. You can still go if you want.
Mm-hmm.
So all right. So then tonight's games, props wise, you have some picks here. We'll start with Lakers Suns then. What's one of your props for this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go Anthony Davis under 12.5 rebounds. It's at plus 100 right now, so basically even money. AD hasn't gone over this total in either game against the Suns this year. And then I was just kind of scrolling through it. On the year, against opposing centers, only 3 centers have actually gone over their rebound prop this season against the Phoenix Suns, if you can believe it or not. 2 of those are backups. Hartenstein went over his rebound prop, which was at 4.5. He had 5. Biyombo, when he first got into Memphis, had a 3.5 rebound prop. He got 4. And then Joel Embiid's the only other one. He had a 9.5 rebound prop. He went for 11. No other center this year has hit over on their rebound prop, which includes 2 games against Anthony Davis. So they just held Nikola Jokic the other night to 5 rebounds in that game. I mean, there's something about Jusuf Nurkic and the way he is either physical in the paint, or the fact that they have guys that are aggressive on the glass is keeping the opponents off the board. So they're going to Anthony Davis under the 12.5 rebounds. And I was talking about this earlier, and someone's like, well, it's the in-season tournament. Won't Anthony Davis play more minutes and have more opportunities to get more rebounds? No, because he's already playing 39 minutes in those games anyways. Like, he's a guy that goes out there and plays 39, 40 minutes a night as it is. So, unless he's playing 45, he's not really going to have more minutes to grab more boards. He's just going to have to be more efficient grabbing those rebounds in this game. And again, the Suns have just been really good at limiting opponent rebounding this year.
Yeah, that's an interesting trend with just the Suns roster and limiting rebounding. All right, then so you have a couple more picks from this game, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to go staying with the rebounding here. If AD is not grabbing boards, we're going to go with D'Angelo Russell. Now, it's kind of a juice line, so maybe you look to throw this one in your parlay, but D'Angelo Russell over 2.5 rebounds here. Again, it's just a spot where he is one that kind of gets those long rebounds. There's a lot of outside shots taken by Phoenix here. So he's done a good job going over this in both games against Phoenix this year. He's grabbed 3 and 4 rebounds in those 2 games. And then if you just kind of look overall on the year, he's had a lot of success going over this total here as well. Almost a 75% clip of grabbing at least 2.5 rebounds on the year. So again, it's juiced up a little bit. Maybe you throw it in a parlay to kind of help lower the odds there. But D'Angelo Russell is my other pick in this game, over 2.5 boards.
Okay, sweet. A couple of Lakers exposure there. Mm-hmm. All right, and then for Bucks and Knicks tonight, you got some picks for this one.
I do. I have Malik Beasley over 2.5 3-pointers made. That's juiced at minus 175. So again, maybe you pair the Russell Beasley in a parlay and get that down to a little bit of a better odds for you there. Malik Beasley is one of the more streakiest shooters in the NBA. He shoots pretty much only 3-pointers. He's out there 7, 8, 9 3-pointers a game here. And right now he's just on fire. He's just knocking down them at like a 50% clip over the last 5 or 6 games here. So it's just a pure volume play. And again, to see a line of minus 175, I know, we usually just avoid those at that point because you got to bet, big money to kind of get anything back from that. So for me, that's sort of like a parlay builder lineup. You throw that in there to kind of lower some of the odds in your parlay. But the way he has been going right now, knowing the minute's going to be there for the in-season tournament, I think there's no Pat Connaughton, no Jay Crowder, so the wing depth there is low tonight for Milwaukee, and we may see Chris Middleton still on a minutes limit like he's been since coming back from that injury. So just leaving more opportunities for Beasley to score when defenses are collapsing on Giannis and Lillard. He's there knocking down the shots. And then another pick in that one, we are going to go Chris Middleton, and I've really been liking these first quarter lines. I know they stress some people out because there's kind of limited amount of time to hit these ones. But Chris Middleton is a guy that takes threes. It's only 2.5 points, so he just needs a couple of buckets. He had 8 points in the first quarter the other day. He's going to start, a lot of the focus goes on it goes on Giannis, it goes on Dame Lillard, and he's kind of just chilling out there. And he's a really good scorer. He's just been on a minutes limit. Hopefully he gets enough minutes in this first quarter. Generally he does get an early sub, so you just kind of hope he knocks those down within the first 6 minutes of that game, and he cashed it. It's a minus 115. So again, it's not crazy odds for it to go over. But I've been having a lot of fun with these first quarter props. I first found them over on Sleeper. We have the Sleeper app promo going on. I do the article over there sometimes. And the Sleeper, see all these first quarter props, these are nice. And then I go look on the sports books and they're there as well. So Middleton over 2.5 points in the first quarter. And then I'm going to go with Jalen Brunson over 1.5 assists in the first quarter. That's at minus 140. Again, we're attacking this terrible Bucks defense here. You get the point guard, right? 1.5 assists in the quarter for the point guard at minus 140. Again, you maybe throw that as a parlay builder for you as well, but we're going to ride Brunson here. I think Brunson's going to have a big game in general. His point set at 27.5. He had 45 actual against them earlier this year. Dame is one of the worst defenders in the NBA. So if you want to go Brunson over threes, Brunson over points, Brunson points and assists tonight, all of that's fine, but it feels he's going to play almost the entire first quarter. So I like the over 1.5 assists here, knowing how poor the Bucks are defensively.
Love it. Some first quarter props on there.
Yeah,
where can people find those if not on Sleeper, like other sports books? Do they have those?
Yeah, they do. So they're it's available on DraftKings.
Okay.
We do have the DraftKings promo for Fantasy Alarm out there as well. If you go to our offers page, if you're new to DraftKings, you can sign up over there. But they have them. If you just click on the player prop you're looking for, on the bottom scroll, it gives you X quarter props. Okay. It's right there for you. So
easy. Listen, going back to your pick on Malik Beasley's 3-pointers and it's minus 175, as you were saying. I'm fine with any bet that's pretty much anything under minus 200, as long as like you're comfortable paying an extra half unit or whatever to get the return. If you think it's going to cash, like I'm all for betting that. Obviously, the juiced is like maybe people will say like, oh, it's obviously likely going to happen, like not really going out on a limb, but whatever. I mean, who cares? Because if it's going to cash, and if you're going to be right about it, then who cares if it's juiced or whatever, you're still hitting it.
Exactly.
And you throw out, you already threw out a plus money prop. So it's like people will be fine with whatever. But yeah, you could throw that in a parlay, as you mentioned, with the other game, the D'Angelo Russell prop that you threw out, minus 145 on that one.
Yeah.
The Prince on YouTube chat here asking what prop bets can I play in Tennessee?
Was it Tennessee
John,
or tonight? I couldn't tell if he was asking tonight or Tennessee. If it's tonight, I just give you a whole bunch of prop bets there to Prince. Yeah. So you can catch all of those. If you missed it, just get in our Discord. I know you're in our Discord to Prince. Go ask. I'll throw those in the Discord for you guys there as well. So,
or just if you're watching on YouTube, rewind about 5 minutes and you can.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's in Tennessee, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if
I don't know about the specifics there.
Open in Tennessee. If not, maybe you can use like Sleeper or Underdog Fantasy and check those out as well.
Yeah, easy. Or if it's other sports books that you're able to bet and not bet MGM or DraftKings. I'm not sure the language there for Tennessee as opposed to other states. I know for for like I'm in Virginia, and props for like all the pro sports are definitely available, but I know like for college you can't bet on college football or college basketball props. But when I go home to New Jersey, I can bet on some college football and college basketball props. So that's definitely something. Whenever I go back to Jersey, I look to lock those in. ROK Beast here, AD prop for tonight. Well, John gave out the under on his rebounds, so
Yeah.
that's where he's going. Any other bets that you would look for him besides the rebounds?
I mean, the problem is a lot of his props are tied to that rebound number, right? So if you're looking at his PRA, if you're looking at his points and rebounds, if we're going under the rebounds, and you have to hope he's going to go ahead and kind of excel in the scoring. Now he's had two different scoring games. He had one pretty good scoring game. He had one game where he scored 18 points, right? So, he's certainly a guy that can get you some assists. He's a guy that can get you some blocks and steals. So, yeah, I'm not really high on I don't really want to attack AD here in this matchup, knowing he's going to have to deal with some Durant, knowing he's going to have to deal with some Nurkic here in this game, and how well they've kind of, played some defense here. So, yeah, I went the under on the AD rebounds here tonight at 12.5. And you can get the Discord invite. Yeah, it's if you go to fantasyslam.com, if you sign up on our homepage, there is a link to join the Discord. So you can go ahead and find it there again, fantasyslam.com. Free account to create. You can go ahead and get the Discord. But if you want the premium Discord channels, a premium Discord access right there, fantasyslam.com/let's go. Promo code let's go, $19.95 a month for the first month when you sign up for the monthly package there. So you can check that out there as well.
Yeah, right there on the screen, the QR code. You can get the Fantasy Alarm All Pro subscription with that offer. Let's go for 50% off the first month. Yeah, you get the Discord with that subscription. Obviously, all of our DFS content for every sport. I know right now on fantasyalarm.com, we have, DFS and betting picks for NHL, NBA, college basketball tonight. We cover it all there. So, yeah, if you haven't already, get on that as you watch here for free. We give out some picks here, but we get a lot of content over at Fantasy Alarm that pays for itself if you get the All Pro subscription for sure. So that's tonight's games. Should be fun. So what? The Thursday are the semifinals, right? And then Saturday is that championship game, right, for end season tournament. So. What's the rest of the NBA schedule this week? Is Wednesday's like a bigger slate, right?
Yeah, Wednesday and Friday are huge slates. No games on Sunday, and then they loaded up the Wednesday and Friday slate. Teams that lost yesterday are on the Friday slate, or teams that are losing yesterday and today are going to be on the Friday slate, going to be added into it. So almost like a full day of full slate of NBA on Friday.
And teams that are winning are off on those days, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so something to keep in mind for any of these games. Someone scanned the QR code. I'm sure it was ROK Beast there or anybody else watching. So appreciate that. All right, how about some college basketball tonight? I got some picks to throw out you, John, if you're interested here.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we got the Jimmy V Classic tonight with some good non-conference matchups and some other really good games out there on tonight's slate. A couple Big Ten conference games and then some other really good non-conference matchups. One here, this is the Jimmy V Classic tonight. The later game tonight, I think 9 p.m. tip or 9:30. I'm grabbing the under on this UConn North Carolina matchup, and it's 151.5 on BetMGM. My instant lean actually honestly in this game was to go over, but I dug into it more, and I think this is going to be more of a grinder than what this total indicates. First off, it's just a big non-conference matchup for both these teams in Madison Square Garden, so neutral court for both. But also, whenever we get these matchups in an NBA arena and especially Madison Square Garden, you tend to see some more missed shots with maybe whether it's nerves or whether it's different sight lines for these 3-point shooters. It's just kind of one of those trends that we've seen over the years, and I'm going right to it here. Especially if you want to look at first half under 2 in this game, I think that could cash. But overall in this game, UConn is in a big spot because I think they have some really added motivation after they just lost to Kansas last game which was on the road. And this is a good spot for them to get another, big non-conference resume boosting win here to keep, get their season back on track. So they're rightful 5.5-point favorites in this. But just on that note, I think their defense is going to come out very, very prepared and very tight on this UNC team, because when North Carolina, they can get hot from three. When Armando Bacot down low gets rolling, they're very dangerous. They put up a ton of points on Tennessee not too long ago. They can post a big number, and I think UConn wants to very much limit that and keep this lower scoring, because if they get into a shootout, I think they can't really match that. So I think their defense is going to be very good. They have a very strong interior defense specifically, which I think is going to limit Bacot for North Carolina and put more pressure on those guards. And they got some talent there. Audrey Davis for sure. Elliot Cadeau has been coming on strong here. But if they can really limit Bacot's effectiveness in the paint, I think it's going to be lower scoring for North Carolina here. And on the other side, North Carolina's not too bad defensively either. They're 35th in defensive efficiency at KenPom right now. But, they, I think, are going to have a little bit easier time because of UConn's health situation coming to this game. They have 3 of their key players are game time decisions tonight, which they could all 3 play, but I feel like they honestly could be limited if they do play. And it's Donovan Clingan, Alex Caravan, and Cam Spencer all have these little minor injuries, game time decisions tonight. If any or all 3 are out, it definitely hurts UConn offensively. And I think that'll even point more towards just UConn trying to very much come out strong defensively and keep this lower scoring, because they won't have as much 3-point shooting to keep pace with North Carolina if it starts getting away from them. So overall, give me the under in this game tonight. Big game. Should be fun to watch.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that's a pretty impressive early matchup here.
Yeah. All right, next one here. This is just a non-conference game, Big East versus Big 12 here. Villanova on the road at Kansas State, and I'm grabbing Villanova here on the money line. Look at the spreads 2.5 for Nova as road favorites. But I'm fine to pay a little bit more just to get the money line, because I do think they should win this, but it could easily be by 1 or 2 points, honestly. Villanova, John, I don't know if you've noticed, they just lost back-to-back games against Drexel and St. Joe's. And they also lost earlier this year to Penn. This team has been very weird because they're playing up and down to their competition this year. As I mentioned, they've lost 3 of these games against lower tier Philly schools, but they also have beaten North Carolina. They've beaten Memphis, Texas Tech, and Maryland. Despite those ugly losses, they are playing better, weirdly enough, against better teams.
Right.
And I think they're going to come in after they're coming off these losses to St. Joe's and Drexel. I think they're going to come in here very motivated to get back on track and to beat Kansas State. Kansas State, by the way, has been a little shaky too lately. They just survived their last 2 games, overtime wins against Oral Roberts and North Alabama, and easily could have lost one or both of those games because they both went to overtime. But they did survive. Right. So their record, looks better on paper here, but they easily could have 2 of those wins be losses. So that little bit worries me. The big matchup factors for this one, there's a couple things that I'm looking at that I think Villanova has a significant edge here. Kansas State has smaller guards, a smaller backcourt, really good guys, Tyler Perry, Cam Carter, but they are just smaller in general. And I think that's an issue against Villanova, who loves to post up its guards. That's how they play with their guards, back these smaller guards down in the paint, whether they're scoring or dishing to some 3-point shooters. They just play big in their backcourt, which I think is going to be an issue for Kansas State here on that end of the floor. And then also with that, on that same note, is Villanova center Eric Dixon's playing really well right now, and I think he's a mismatch against Kansas State's front court, which is a little bit weaker right now. Their depth is not great in the front court as well right now. So I feel like Eric Dixon could be a huge factor in this, as well as the guards for Nova. And then the other side of this is that Villanova is a team that they love to shoot a ton of threes, but they also allow opponents to shoot a lot of threes and really shut down the interior scoring. But they really funnel things, allowing teams to shoot from the perimeter, and that's how they've suffered a couple of these losses with teams getting hot from three. But Kansas State is a team that's struggling from 3-point range, only shooting 31% as a team this year from three. Also has a below average 3-point defense on the other side, which doesn't really bode well against Villanova. So both those factors, I think being a mismatch from the 3-point range on both ends of the floor, I think could hurt Kansas State here. So yeah, give me Villanova to bounce back and get this big road win for them.
I mean, listen, the fact that they're favorites like that on the road, I think bodes well for them.
That was notable to me.
Minus 145 road favorite, that's big.
Yeah, that's notable. Kansas State, they haven't played as tough a schedule, first off, as Villanova too. So that's also part of this that I was gonna mention, is that Villanova just comes in a lot more battle tested and now humbled, as I said, because they just lost these back-to-back games against Drexel and St. Joe's. I think they're coming here very fired up and motivated and won't back down from the road environment. All right, Michigan State facing off against Wisconsin tonight. First off, you can see here on the screen, Wisconsin is the ranked team in this matchup, but Michigan State is 5.5-point favorites. This is very notable for a few reasons, but the first is that if going back over the years, and if you bet on college basketball, you probably know this or have realized this, is when an unranked team is favored at home against a ranked team, the trends suggest that they are going to cover, they're going to win outright. It happens, I think, about 60 to 70% of the time in recent years that the unranked team, if they're favored at home against a ranked team, Vegas is telling us something here. And Michigan State is a team that was, they've suffered a few early losses, which has forced them to fall out of the rankings. But this is still a team that easily could be a Final Four contender, and will be, once they start rolling, especially in conference play, which is what this matchup is here for them, or early season Big Ten matchup here against Wisconsin. I think they're going to be ready for it. And Wisconsin, this is a letdown for them and a sandwich spot for them on their schedule, because they just upset Marquette at home in a big rivalry game on Saturday. So they're coming off that, have to go on the road here at Michigan State for, a conference matchup.
Right.
And it's also a sandwich spot because they face Arizona in their next game on the, coming up on the weekend. So this is like a tough spot to go right into Michigan and play the Spartans, a team that's also, Michigan State's been off for a week since their last game. So they're going to be well prepared, well rested for this game. And it's a short turnaround for Wisconsin after just playing on Saturday in like a game where their fans storm the court after they just beat Marquette. So it's just a classic letdown for that. This is also only Wisconsin's second true road game this year, which is notable for teams early in the season. When they play where their first or second road games, you kind of see what they're made of on the road. And Wisconsin early this year played on the road at Providence and lost by double digits. So, and Providence is a worse team, in my opinion, than Michigan State. So I think it could be an issue for the Badgers tonight, coming off their win over Marquette and right before playing Arizona. So, give me the Spartans here to win and cover this spread.
I mean, like you're saying, they're a ranked team going on the road, but they're 5.5-point underdogs against.
There's a reason, I think. There's a reason.
Like some of these things, they just feel like they make sense. Like why else would an unranked team be a big home favorite? Like 5.5 points is a lot of points in a basketball.
I know.
So that's not insignificant to consider.
All right, another one here. And by the way, I'm throwing out some favorites here. But if you watch the show, I do throw out some underdogs. So this is not just like me going to some favorites tonight. Honestly, I looked at the board.
Favorites and overs, Servo. Favorites and overs. That's what the people want,
Well, I looked at the board tonight and I was like, I want to pick an underdog, but I'm not going to force it. And if it's just like I like these favorites and some, I picked Nova on the road, but some good home favorites in my opinion. Another one here is another Big Ten game tonight. Is Michigan hosting Indiana, and I'm grabbing Michigan to cover, to win and cover here against the spread against Indiana. this is Indiana, as I mentioned, teams going on the road or haven't been early in the season. This is Indiana's first true road game all season. So we're going to see what they are tonight. But Michigan, this is a good bounce back spot for them, I think, because they've lost 4 of their last 5 games coming into tonight. But it's also been all games that were neutral or road games. They've had a really tough stretch and tough opponents in this first part of the season. And they're more battle tested than Indiana because these non-con matchups have been against Memphis, Oregon, Texas Tech, St. John's, and Stanford. That is a lot, higher competition than what Indiana has faced this year, who have benefited from an easy early season schedule. You can see their record at 6-1, but what they played, their best, their toughest game this year was against UConn, and they lost by 20 in that one. So
right.
I think this is a letdown for them too, because they just beat Maryland at home on Friday to start their first conference game. But now going on the road here at Michigan for a hungry Michigan team that's looking to really, get back onto it after some their tough part of the season. I think it's a bad spot for Indiana. I also think it's a bad matchup for Indiana. IU is a poor 3-point shooting team this year and don't attempt a lot of threes either. Score a lot of their points inside. They have really good big in Khalil Ware. They have Malik Renault, but their 3-point shooting is a worry. And in this matchup, Michigan is a lot better defensively inside and struggles to defend the 3. But I don't think it's going to matter because Indiana is not a threat from 3-point range right now. And especially on the road here, I don't think they're going to shoot well from 3. So I could see Michigan stretching out a lead here if they shut things down inside defensively. Because Michigan also, they got back point guard Jalen Llewellyn last game from injury, who, was coming back from a torn ACL from last year, but he's a reliable ball handler to take pressure off their star, Doug McDaniel. I think is huge on the offensive end to just, let McDaniel play a little bit more off the ball, be more efficient with his scoring and with his play overall. So I think it's this is a under the radar boost for Michigan that I think is huge to get Llewellyn back. So yeah, give me Michigan to win and cover at home here.
I mean, again, I'm looking at this, a team that is 6-1 versus a team that's 4-4, and the 4-4 team is a 7.5 point.
Right.
So, again, we talk about this in college a lot, right? Some of these early matchups, teams kind of get inflated records. And then when they go face like the iron of an actual program, they don't really stand the test and the numbers aren't really, aren't as what they appear to be. And the spread is obviously, again, 7.5 points on the road is a lot to overcome.
Yeah. And in college, you really have to ignore the records.
They have those in-season, early preseason tournaments, right? And all those things are like.
Yeah, but some teams opt to not really do that, which Indiana didn't for the most part. They haven't played these like neutral court early season tournaments where Michigan did and has faced a lot of these teams. So
right.
Like that's a huge part of it. And that's why I use if you hear me talk about reference KenPom or Bart Torvik is another one. Like they actually are diving into like every single team and every single stat and advanced stats to see where like, all right, how do these teams match up? And yeah, you mentioned this record, Indiana 6-1, Michigan 4-4. At KenPom right now, Michigan is 49th in the country and Indiana is 69th. So like that's just kind of like the you have to understand like how do these teams stack up if they played the same schedule, basically, like how would this matchup be? So all right, last one here, a little off the radar, but I think it's a spot where there's value is Syracuse -4.5 against Cornell, hosting Cornell here. And the main thing here, the X's and O's, maybe Cornell could keep this close, but I look at the history of these two teams. These two teams have been playing basically every year for a while now, going back in their school's history. And Syracuse has been smashing Cornell in this recent history. They've won 42 straight games in this in-state rivalry. Okay, 42 straight is Syracuse beating Cornell in this rivalry, and then 12 of the last 13 of those matchups have been double-digit wins for Syracuse against Cornell. So I look at this, and this has been something I've just kind of noticed over the years, is that Syracuse it usually crushes Cornell by double digits. And I see Syracuse coming in here. They're 5-3, their record, but their 3 losses have come against Virginia, Gonzaga, and Tennessee. Totally understandable for them to lose all 3 of those games because they're not a top tier team like those programs. But meanwhile, on the other hand, 4 of their 5 wins have been by double digits, and have been hammering their competition more often than not. So when they're winning and when they're facing lower tier opponents, they're usually winning pretty comfortably. And when they're losing, their only losses have come against teams that are legitimately Final Four contenders. So I don't fault that at all for Syracuse. So I think this is a good spot for them to get another comfortable win. So I think the 4.5 is just a little too low. Cornell, by the way, has only faced one team that's on par or better than Syracuse this year, and that was a 7-point road loss to George Mason, who's, according to KenPom, ranked higher than Syracuse. But again, they're in the same kind of tier range. But that's the only time Cornell has faced a team in that range, and they also haven't faced any power conference teams like Syracuse, who has, Judah Mintz and JJ Starling are one of the best backcourts in the ACC this year. So, give me Syracuse to win here and cover.
Like it.
So there's some college basketball bets for tonight. We're going to wrap things up here. By the way, I have college basketball DFS playbook up on Fantasy Alarm. Again, get the All-Pro subscription if you want to check that out for some daily fantasy for tonight's college hoops. All right, let's wrap things up. Bring our producer, Adam Bernard, here. He's got some hockey picks. What's up, Adam? You got some Tuesday night NHL bets for us.
I've got 3 picks from the NHL slate, plus a future bet that kind of jumped out at me to maybe jump on right now. Before we get down into business for the 3 picks tonight, shout out to the Arizona Coyotes for becoming the first team in NHL history to defeat all 5 defending champs in consecutive games. That is a really weird stat and quirk, but the way the schedule worked, and they knocked them all off. So there you go.
So just hand them the trophy right now, right?
They're not a good team, but it would not surprise me to see them hanging around the wild card picture down the stretch, because they're a plucky, scrappy team, and they scored 5 goals in the first period against Washington last night. Not that the Capitals are good, but it's 5 goals in a period.
Excited for the NHL's in-season tournament to start.
Oh yeah, exactly. Can't wait for that. I mean, they can't even figure out the Olympics in the season. They're going to do a tournament. Get out of here.
No chance.
So let's head out to the island for the first pick tonight. The Sharks and the Islanders. I like this game to go under 5.5. Now I know that's a low number, but the Sharks have shown some signs of life in the last 2 games, scoring 11 goals. But one of those games was the Devils, who are a mess right now. And while the Rangers, it was the other game, they are one of the top teams in the league. They're not. We'll say they're adequate defensively. Enter the Islanders, who are much more of a clamp down team. And they like to clamp down against bad teams. If they're playing a good team, they might try and get in a track meet. But if they're playing a team like San Jose, they know they can clamp down on them. Ilya Sorokin could potentially get a shutout tonight. So I like the under 5.5 goals here, even money on BetMGM. Sharks could keep it close in a low-scoring affair, but I think it's low-scoring no matter what happens here.
All right, rooting on no goals. I love that. All right, next pick.
Nobody likes to root no goals, but that's a spot right there.
Yeah, maybe don't watch that game to sweat out the goals, but
no, that's when you just check your score, whatever score app you use, periodically. Oh, look, okay, 2 goals through 2 periods.
Yeah. I usually turn push notifications on for goals when I do that, and then hope I don't get any push notifications.
Yeah,
that's actually a really good idea. I never thought of that.
But then when they start coming in,
you don't get the push notification. Nothing is going on. So
but when you do start getting notifications, you're like, no.
Well, then I know once the goals have come, I can just shut that off too. So
yeah, like I'm going to a concert tonight, and the last thing I want to feel is my phone vibrating in my pocket a lot of it. So next up, I got here. We got a couple of puck lines for tonight. Detroit -1.5 at Buffalo +185. Sabres are trotting out Eric Comrie, who's been 1-4 with a .399 goals against and an .864 save percentage in his last 5 starts, and they've lost 8 of their last 11, with 5 of those losses coming by 2 or more goals. On the flip side, you got the Red Wings, who have won 5 of 6, with their 1 loss coming to the Rangers, and they've won by 2 or more in 4 of those 5 victories. Comrie is not a great goalie. Alex Leon for Detroit going tonight. He's 3-1 in his last 4 starts, posting an insane 1.26 goals against and a 958 save percentage. I think the Red Wings take care of business and cover the puck line. If you want to go down the safe route, though, because that maybe looks like a trap, the minus 125 on the money.
Yeah, I was going to say that I noticed when we bring you on to give out some hockey picks, you tend to go the puck line more often than not, whether, especially for a game like this, like you mentioned, it's minus 125 on BetMGM on the money line for Detroit, but you like that little plus money to get the puck line.
Buffalo's just not good right now. They're a mess. And Detroit, they're playing very well right now. I mean, Patrick Kane will not be in the lineup tonight. If he's going to make his debut, it's going to be Thursday or Saturday, it looks like. Obviously, you want to be cautious with a guy in his late 30s coming off a hip surgery. It's kind of important in hockey, the hip joint. So you want to take your time. But yeah, I think Detroit, tees off tonight on Buffalo. If Detroit's going to be a playoff team, these in the Atlantic Division, these are the games you got to get early. The points matter in December as much as they do in March and April.
Yep.
All right, what else you got?
Got one more for tonight. Speaking of puck lines, the Kings minus a puck and a half plus 118 at BetMGM. They're playing Columbus. 11 of the Kings' 14 victories have come by 2 or more goals. They've arguably been the best team in the West and a top 3 team in the league. Beat good teams and they smash bad teams. Columbus is a bad team. Elvis Merzlikins, can't trust him. He's had a very bad start to the year for Columbus. He seems to have righted the ship a little bit, but again, not a guy I can trust on a streaky team. And Phoenix Copley going for LA tonight. He is 2-0 in his last 2 with an eye-popping 980 save percentage, both wins. So, and just to further illustrate the point of the disparity of these two teams, the Kings are minus 210 on the money line on the road, and Columbus is plus 175 at home. So, I really like the Kings tonight. I think they take care of business against the Blue Jackets.
How do we feel about the saves prop for Merzlikins? And I played that the other day. He went way over. Do we think he gets enough shots on him tonight?
This could be a situation where I can see the Kings, getting an early lead and then just kind of like sitting back and just playing that we're not going to let you shoot the puck. So, I mean, what's the save prop at tonight?
29.5.
I might even go under on that, but because again, I think if they jump out to a big lead, they probably don't fire the puck on net as much late. But
sure.
So I'd go under, but I don't love it.
Okay.
And then you got a little extra futures prop here to throw to us.
So the game of the night in the NHL, and I don't have a lean on it anyway, is the Devils and the Canucks. Because for the 9th time in league history, 3 brothers are going to be taking the ice with each other. Luke Hughes and Jack Hughes, of course, with the Devils, and Quinn Hughes with the Canucks. Quinn Hughes is having an electric campaign. He's got 9 goals and 25 assists already, which would be a really good season for a defenseman. He's on pace for 27 goals and 75 assists. The 100-point barrier for a defenseman is a huge achievement. Now, taking Bobby Orr out of the equation, the second best player of all time, and Paul Coffey, who played in an era where games were 7-4 every night, only 4 defensemen have ever hit that mark. It's basically a 2-man race for the Norris Trophy right now between him and Cale Makar. Makar's got a lower body injury. Who knows if this is lingering or not? But even so, they're going to be careful with their prized possession in Colorado. Everything is setting up for the Canucks to they really make a deep run this year. They were that team that people thought were going to be mediocre coming into the season and have proven that they've taken that leap, and they are a very good team. And Quinn Hughes is very much a big part of that. So if he's on pace for over 100 points, he's not slowing down. Quinn Hughes plus 160 to win the Norris Trophy for best defenseman. I would get that in now.
All right. Love it.
He's an electric player. If you're up late and you can get the Canucks Devils game, watch Quinn Hughes.
All right. Will do. Appreciate you coming on here, Adam, with some hockey picks on a Tuesday night. What's the schedule like for the rest of the week? Maybe we'll have you back on here talking some hockey.
Wednesday will be the typical light night because of TNT. They don't like to have too many games competing. Thursday's a heavy slate, and Friday I haven't even looked that far ahead yet, but Thursday will be a nice slate for picks as well.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out, and we'll bring you back on here.
Thanks, boys.
That's about it for us on today's show. We'll be back tomorrow on this Bettor Sports Betting show, 4 p.m. Eastern. Early leans for the NFL weekend from me and Howard Bender, so that should be interesting. Also, I know I'll have a couple college basketball bets for tomorrow night as well to throw at you guys. And then we got that huge NBA slate too. So Should be a fun night. Coming up after us, by the way, tonight on the Bettor Cast, we got NFL running back trivia with Moose and Keith at 7 p.m. Eastern. So download the Bettor Cast app if you haven't already and get on that fun chance to win some awesome stuff there for tonight's Bettor Cast. John, good luck with all your bets tonight. Enjoy these NBA in-season games. Should be fun games on TNT tonight if you guys are following along with your bets and picks. And we'll catch you guys all tomorrow on this Bettor Sports Betting show. Good luck and see you later.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.